Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our weekly live. Today, we're going to talk about the best springs to use on your reformer, the weight of the springs, and also especially for overhead exercises. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. This is one of your questions that we got from the comments. Every single Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, we answer your questions. So whether you have a question or that applies to a video, you can actually just put the question you have and we will make sure it makes the lineup. If you're an onlinepilatesclasses.com member, you can ask it in our members only community. We answer it there every day. Plus, we'll look at your form doing it, give you the best, most precise feedback for you. Because here is the thing that you're going to learn in today's question answer is that it's not so black and white. I can't tell you it's exactly this weight or it's this weight or it's this spring based on this body type or this body type, because it's really going to depend on height, weight, ability, where you're stronger, where you're moving from. And I share it with you because if you're a person who loves Pilates watching this, then you need to have that information to know that it's a constant learning process. And if you're a teacher, choosing the best springs for your client and their practice on that day is the most important thing. Our bodies are changing every day. And as we're growing with our practice, what the spring is going to be need to be different based on the goal. Okay. So all of my springs are the exact same weight here. So as far as the best weight of a spring for the reformer, it's kind of the wrong question. Tension might be better. A lot of companies have different weighted springs. So Balance Body is a sponsor of my tours, and they make the Contrology line that I'm on right now. So I'm going to talk about their spring weights more than any other companies, just because I don't know the best tension for any reformer that uses a bungee cord. And I can use the Balance Body spring tension for heavy, medium, and light, and that can be translated to other brands. Okay, so specifically with overhead exercises, the spring tension is usually 2 to 3 springs. For example, short spine is 2, long spine massage is 3. Now, when you're new to long spine massage, that might be overpowering. Overhead is 2. They will always be 2. Doing it on one spring is going to be quite light and not the support you need. But depending on where you are in your practice, 3 springs for long spine massage can be necessary. I'll share that to you in a second. Otherwise, what springs should we be using? The ones that support the body the most. So my 4 springs for footwork would translate to like 3 red and a green or 3 red and a blue, right? You could do 2 green, 2 red, depending on the size of the body. But if you go down to 2 springs, know that that's less supportive and it actually becomes more challenging for clients with back issues. The lighter the spring tension, the more they have to do it. And it's really easy for people, especially who are deconditioned or not really connected, to go into their back or their hip flexors. All right, when I'm using one spring on my equipment, on a Balance Body piece, I'm usually using a red spring. Sometimes a green, although I don't like the way how fast a green spring closes the equipment. So that would be a medium or heavy spring on another piece of equipment. When it's 2 springs, I'm using a heavy and a medium, or sometimes 2 medium. But again, we don't want it to get too light for someone because then they're not supported and it can be really awful. So let's talk about overhead and short spine, because I'll do those on 2 springs. So on springs that have different tension, you want a heavy and a medium here. Your headrest should always be down for these. And the reason you want some tension you want 2 springs is you really want to be able to stand in your back. And if you don't have that option, it's going to make it really difficult. So you're going to press down into the arms, stand on the back, lift the legs. And then I have this 2 spring tension that can actually support me to come down. So I have a nice strong upper back, right? It's a little early for me to be doing overhead today. So this is what we got. But I have that it's 2 springs I can do chest expansion with. So with the same springs you're doing chest expansion on, you do for that. For short spine, you are going to put the loops through. And what a lot of people tend to do is have the spring tension pull on them. So if the spring tension is pulling on you, it's too heavy, but you should be able to stand from the back of your legs into the strap. And then you still have to work those muscles as you go overhead. If it was lighter than this, I couldn't get up because I wouldn't have anything to stand in. And if it was heavier than this, it might pull me too fast. So I wish it was a black and white answer for you. It's really not. For a long side massage, I'll show you why I use 3. 1, my straps are going to be even longer. And by the way, all these spring tensions are based off of that my straps are this long when my carriage is closed. So if you have the mastering of the basics on the reformer course that we made on OPC, we go over that length of the straps. But then I make the straps even longer for long side massage. So the longer the strap, the more support I'm going to want, right? This is why if you're on a contemporary piece of equipment with shorter straps, you'll hear my spring settings, you'll think it's too heavy. Not too heavy, your straps are too short. So when we do long side massage, I've worked my way up to 3 springs and it becomes more accessible. This exercise is really difficult on lighter springs because your body is more distal. So legs go out, you'll lift up. So that 3 springs allows me right here to stand and get longer and longer and longer and longer and hopefully land with my butt and feet at the same time. It's a work in progress. And also, it's early in the morning here. All right. On OPC, repeat that. Thank you. Thank you for your questions, guys. You can drop them in the comments below. So we've got Brad giving them to me. What does it mean to stand in your back? So a lot of people are thinking only about their core, what they can see. You've got to get into this upper back here. So when you're doing overhead exercises, you are standing on the shoulder blades. You're not on the neck. The neck should have no weight. Your head is on the headrest, but the weight of your body is on your shoulder girdle. Just like if I'm sitting here right now, I'm sitting on my pelvic girdle. It's the same thing when you're on your shoulders, you're on your shoulder girdle. And that is kind of the same place you'd curl up for the 100, where that space that you curled up, that's what you're going to stand on. So great question. We just recently did OPC summer camp, and one of the workshops that we did was on the long stretch series. And oftentimes people pick too light of a spring on the long stretch series, which makes it harder to do and even can be dangerous to do. So whenever you're picking spring tensions, you want to be thinking about the body that's doing it, what the goal of the exercise is, and how the springs are working together like a dance partner and not pushing you around. But if you are not feeling a challenge, obviously you can lighten the spring. Before you do that, I'd like to ask, like, what challenge are you trying to get from yourself? Because it's tempting to, like, I just got to go big or go home, or advance myself. Lighter springs means I'm more advanced. More advanced means more advanced. Doing those bigger exercises with the right spring setting is best for you. Brad, do we have any other questions? How do you know if the spring is supporting your body? You should be able to work the entire body in an exercise without feeling like you're overworking from a certain place. Let's use knee stretches. Knee stretches are always on 2 springs, so medium heavy. So I should be able to push with my legs, and then in pushing with my legs, my arms will resist that spring tension so I don't get thrown forward, right? So I'm using the spring to help activate all the muscles around my body, even though my legs are the only ones obviously working, right? If I were to go to 1 spring, it's so light, I don't have to use my arm connection at all. I don't have to use my core at all, right? I could just do my legs. If I were to go heavier, now I'm actually over exerting myself. So Joseph Paz was such a genius in like how he picked different spring settings. Now, an exercise where you might manipulate the springs besides footwork would be on long stretch. So a lot of people are taught long stretch series on 1 spring. That was it's not ideal. Long stretch series was always on 2 springs, and you went down to 1 when you are more advanced, and eventually none, right? So this is 2 springs. My legs are pushing, but my whole body is working. If I go down to 1 spring, now my core is working even harder to support my back, and I got to pull that all the way in from my center, so I have to work harder. That it still feels supported, but it's actually a much bigger challenge for me. Some people go down to no springs. it's a different goal. So you have to ask yourself, what is your goal? And does it feel like you can move through the exercise, or do you feel like you are stuck or having to overexert? If you're using your shoulders to push up for a long stretch, it's you are moving from from an incorrect place. And so I'd want you to move from a better place and feel supported in your center. So that's the way to answer that question. The center should feel like it can engage before everything else overexerts. If you are new though and doing an exercise that's outside of your level, it's very hard, it's very easy to get confused with this question, because if you push with your shoulders, do long stretch, and you're like, oh, I need to lighten my load because Lesley says I should feel it in my center. Lighten your load could actually mean that you fall in your lower back and then you're not supported at all. So I would probably take the whole exercise away from you, help you get connection to your back from your arms so you don't push with your shoulders. So it gets so overhead exercises are all, you're never going to on a one spring. I mean, you could, but it would not be supported at all. It would be like doing the mat. So you're always going to use two. How do you know you're supported though? Means you should feel strong in the upper back and not like you're going to collapse into your neck. But that actually is less about the springs and more about you. See, a lot of people want to do overhead exercises because they're really cool, but they don't have the core strength to support themselves upside down. And so then it feels heavy on their shoulders or their neck. And so you are not supported, but that might not be the spring tension. It might actually just be that you need to practice rolling like a ball more. Get to your Cadillac and do some long stretch, long leg spring series in the air. Practice getting your hips up in a lower situation with a bit more support before doing something like overhead, where the springs help your upper back connect for sure, but you still have to hold yourself up. The springs aren't going to do that for you. Same thing with short spine. Short spine, you are staying in those springs. That's how you stand and you're up. That's how you like support yourself. If you could be on two springs and be pulled upside down if you're not standing in those springs, and then you're just going to feel like you're going to get flipped upside down. So you should feel like you're working with a dance partner always. Doesn't mean it's not hard. Doesn't mean that it's not a challenging dance move, but you shouldn't feel like you're pushing your dance partner around or that the dance partner is pushing you around. And in this example, the dance partner is your springs. Thank you so much for these amazing questions, and thanks for joining me live. You are all so amazing. The OPC Summer Tour has been announced, so go to opc.me/tour to see if we're coming to a city near you. Tickets are selling super, super fast, so we definitely want to make sure we get to see you in real life. If you would like me to see you do an exercise and see if your spring setting is correct, then become an OPC member. You can go to onlinepilatesclasses.com/YouTube to give us a trial out, and when you get in the community, you'll see how you can simply submit a video of you doing an overhead exercise or any exercise and seeing if your spring settings are correct. It might be that your springs are correct and your foot bar is wrong. That's a whole different topic for a different day. All right, everyone. Thank you so very much. Have an awesome day.